Hello, I'm Alex Renneman at Unleashed Tygart. And with this emergence of the COVID-19, I looked around and wondered what is it that I could do that might be helpful. And one of those things was maybe I would find some folks that are much smarter than I am on it and interview them and try to understand what it is. There are things that we can do. We aren't powerless against this thing. What can we do? And so I reached out to Dr. Randy Turner at the Well, Integrative Medicine in Fairmont, and he came on and really offered some great information. I would encourage you to watch all three parts. We broke it up in three videos, so a little more manageable. Um, just know the information's changing day by day, hour by hour, and there's all kinds of opinions out there. I'm not trying to make a statement any other than hopefully there's some valuable information here for you to protect yourself. One of those things that Dr. Turner mentioned is nutrition being a huge part of your immune system and being able to fight this disease, which I'm not seeing a bunch about in the media. I would let you know Unleash Health, which is the health and wellness component of Unleashed Tygart, is running a nutrition challenge starting April 6th. That's an online-only challenge. It's not something you got to travel anywhere, so it's already built for the current social isolation that we're all in. I would encourage you to go out on Unleash Health and join up and ask some questions and see about going through the nutrition course with us. I think you'll find it's a great way to boost your immune system and maybe fight this thing. So big thanks to Dr. Turner. And we have reached out to others to meet with us as well, including Dr. Bender, our county health officer. If you find this interesting, let us know. Let us know who else you'd like us to talk to. What are the topics? Any questions? If this is valuable, we'll do more. If it's not, I'll quit and try something else to help my community through this time. So thank you all. Be safe. Follow the guidelines, and hopefully this is of help to you. Hello, I'm Alex Renneman from Unleashed Tygart, and I'm with Dr. Randy Turner from the Well, Integrative Wellness in Fairmont, West Virginia. Also handles emergency medicine. Dr. Turner, thanks for coming on. I know, we hadn't even postponed this because of some, emergency meetings there in the ER that you had to attend, but thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule at a time where you guys in the health profession are really being called upon. I really appreciate you coming on the program.
Yeah, I'm glad to come. Actually, it's been great to have somebody interested in the community that wants to put something like this out, because it's certainly something that we need to know. It's timely and it's certainly very important. So yeah, I'm glad to be able to be here, even though it's been a busy time. We'll get through it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe just start with that giant question. We've all seen what's in the news or going across social media feeds or what we hear from our friends and family that are concerned with COVID-19. Can you just tell us what your perspective is on it at this point? And knowing it changes by not just the day, by the hour sometimes.
Yeah, it's really true. And it's kind of interesting because it is a new virus or a novel virus. That's part of the name. That's why the name is COVID-19. The things are changing all the time, and the information that comes out changes a little bit here and there and everywhere. And because of that, and because we don't know a lot about it already, that's why there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I think that's why this type of a format is good, to try to clear up some of that and try to, realize that, something we say today may change tomorrow. It's hard to say for sure because it is something that's new, and we're trying the best we can to figure this thing out. But we've got some good information so far, and definitely I think it's becoming clearer as time goes on. We know that it's a contagious variant of a coronavirus. Coronaviruses aren't new. They've been around forever. But this is new, and that's why it's caused such a stir, I guess you might say, in the media and along the medical fields as well, because it's new, we don't know how it's going to react. We kind of know how coronaviruses react, but since this is kind of a variant, you got to be careful. And so we know that it can cause death. We know it can cause illnesses, especially in immunocompromised people, but so can the regular flu. And so, I think that in fact, the flu might end up causing more deaths than this virus, but we won't know that yet. And it's in flux. So we're trying to be proactive. Not that we shouldn't have never been doing the hand washing and all the things they're telling us to do now, because this stuff's been around for a long time. But anyway, I think that we've been through SARS, which is SARS, which is another type of virus, MERS, MERS, H1N1, all these similar acting viruses. We've already been through those. So we know that kind of like the progression of disease and things like that. This one seems to be a little more contagious than some of them, and can be deadlier in some cases. But the main concern is that it's new and it's unknown. It spreads rapidly, and obviously that's been ramped up by the media to a large degree. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories about how it started, where it came from. We know that it started in China. I do know that for a fact. Was it man-made? Was it coming from an animal? I mean, all these things we just don't know all those answers yet, but certainly it's something to be looking at down the road. But, I think, the media ramping things up to the point of people literally running out and fighting over toilet paper has really been ridiculous. And Franklin Roosevelt said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." And I think that fits in this case.
Yeah, I think that's well said. You give anything in this society, at least this has shown us that not that we didn't already know it, but there's a lot of people, a lot of distrust of media, of politicians, of leaders around the world. And something like this comes around, and it just spreads like wildfire. And media, of course, the more we're glued to TVs and their sites and stuff, the more revenue they make from ads. And so unfortunately, the machine is built to to fearmonger. And I think there is a bunch of that, but you mentioned that there's some real concerns here. So can you help us? I know there are folks kind of on either side of this fence. I mean, most people, thank goodness, seem to be taking it serious and following the social distancing and the rules that are being placed out there. That said, what do you say to those? Obviously, the folks that are going out and hoarding toilet paper, shame. I mean, let's get it right. But the folks that are on the other side saying this is complete hoax, this is nothing to worry about. Where do you fall in this in terms of your experience? And again, new data is going to maybe change our opinions in the future. But what can you tell those folks that are maybe thinking this is all a bunch of nothing?
Well, I mean, I'd say it's not a hoax. I mean, we definitely are seeing people die, and it is a virus, obviously. And because it's a virus, and because people are coming down with it, and it seems to spread rather quickly, I mean, that's not something that you should ignore. And so, yeah, we should take precautions, and we should be on the lookout for things that we might be able to do to try to help prevent those symptoms and to help to prevent getting the disease even. And so, that's the main thing, is that people don't panic. I mean, actually try to use a calm head and a way to look at things, but, in a natural way. And what can I do? And what should I do? And when should I do it? And yeah, I mean, don't blow it off. I mean, it's definitely out there. We know it's real. It's just a matter of, how we're going to get through it. And so there's ways you can do that. I mean, obviously I'm on the front line in the emergency medicine field, and I've done that for 30 years. So I've kind of seen these things come and go over that period of time, and I kind of know how they operate, and I know how to take care of yourself. So, I mean, I really think that there's some practical information here, but definitely not something you should just blow off because it's real.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that there are comparisons between the seasonal flu that we see, the influenza we see, that the fact that it's a coronavirus and some things, how it's transmission a little bit, but there are differences. Can you, because you see that battle on social media as well. People are saying this is just like the flu, and other people say it's nothing like the flu. When the reality, the truth is likely somewhere in the middle. Can you help guide us a little bit about what comparing the two?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good thing to do, because you might come down with symptoms, and we're seeing that in people coming to the hospitals now. They come in and they just don't know what to do, because do I have symptoms of it? Do I not have symptoms of it? We're telling people that if you have the symptoms, really you should stay at home or go through a drive-through testing facility, which WVU and a lot of other hospitals have already started that, Davis Hospital, UHC, all those are doing that now. So the question is, how do I know if I have those symptoms? Well, if you don't know what the symptoms are, you're not going to know that. So I would like to kind of clarify some of those things, so you come out of this with knowing a little bit more about it. I mean, the seasonal flu, you usually have a dry cough and usually a fever, okay? But guess what? So with COVID-19, you still have a dry cough and a fever. So those things are actually the same. The difference is with COVID-19, these people that have the dry cough eventually develop shortness of breath, and then they become difficult with their breathing. And then they can actually go on to expire from that. So, that's a difference. If you've got shortness of breath and difficulty breathing, you need to be tested if you've got a dry cough and a fever. So, and especially if you've been in contact with somebody that tested positive. So again, the symptoms are similar in that you have a cough and a fever on both of them. But if you start getting shortness of breath and difficulty with breathing and all that, you need to get checked and you need to go to the doctor. You should call your physician though before you do that, because they're going to give you some information about where to go and how to get tested easily. Again, other symptoms, aching, fever, headache, chills, all that goes along with flu. These surprisingly aren't that common with COVID. So if you've got an achy, runny nose and you're tired and you got headache and chills and a fever and a dry cough, you probably don't have COVID. So again, that's a little bit different. I mean, if you've got those things, that's probably the regular flu or just a cold. The flu, usually it comes on rather rapidly. Once you contact it, it hits you pretty quick. Within a day or two, you're going to be sick. Whereas COVID, once you contact it, it's a few days later that you get it. So it might take 4, 5, 6 days before after you contact it that you're going to end up with getting symptoms. So that's another thing. Let's say that you came in contact with somebody that was coughing and sneezing yesterday. In 2 days, you're starting the same thing. That's probably not COVID that you got from them. So that is good in a way to understand that, because it also can help you understand the way it's transmitted, because even though you may not come down with it for 5 or 6 or 7 days, you still have the virus in you. So during that time, you've got to kind of stay away from other people and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why they're doing what they're doing with trying to keep people away from each other and distancing and all that stuff. As far as the infectious nature of it, the flu is sort of like a marathon. I mean, once you get it, you kind of just have it for a while. The COVID, it's more like it's a sprint. That'd be the best way to me understand it. Once you come down with the symptoms, you're going to get sick pretty quick. So that's another difference. How about people dying? Well, people die from the flu. People die from the COVID. That's no different. Not that everybody gets it. It's a very, very low percentage of people that die. I mean, honestly, even with COVID, now they're saying between 1 and 2%. So 98 to 99 people out of 100 aren't going to die from it. They're going to recover. Flu is probably a little bit less than that, but not a whole lot less. And I think these numbers are ones that we're going to be watching to change the most over the next few weeks, because as we test more people, we're going to know they have it more. And as people are coming down with it, we'll know what their outcomes are. So that's going to give us a better sample. As far as natural immunity, I hear that all the time. I mean, do you have natural immunity to the flu? Well, you can have some natural immunity to the flu, but flu viruses are changing all the time. And so you may have natural immunity to the flu last year because you got the flu, but the flu this year is different. So you may not be able to have immunity to that. Now, however, if the flu that comes along this year is similar to the one last year, you may have some natural immunity. So you may be okay in that regard. There is no natural immunity to COVID-19. It's a brand new virus. So the natural immunity, as far as the antibodies that's already in your system, aren't going to help you in that regard. Now, you still have an immune system, and obviously you're going to have some immunity based on how strong that is. But again, you don't really have natural immunity to COVID when it comes to already have some exposure to it, because it's new. The one good thing I will say about this, then the difference is flu affects a lot of kids, and kids can actually come down and have really, really bad outcomes with the flu. Whereas COVID, we were not seeing that to be the case at all. This is more toward older people with sick and impaired immune systems. Not that younger people can't get it, they can, and we're starting to see that to be ramped up a little bit as we test more people. But we don't have any deaths in children that I know of with COVID, whereas we have seen some deaths with children with flu in the past.
Yeah,
I hope that explains a little better.
I think that's great. There's some really good information in there, because you hear all kinds of stuff. I think that's really good. Let me have one more question kind of along these same lines, which is, again, when you see stuff on social media about how it's spread from one person to the other, you got conversations around, well, when springtime's come out, we have mosquitoes and ticks and these things. There's people that are concerned. How can you really contract COVID-19 at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I think the concern is legitimate in that what if we have mosquitoes that carry the virus, like it does with malaria or some of these other diseases, or ticks which carry other diseases. Right now, we can't say for sure 100%, but I can tell you that it's almost certain that we can tell you that insects and animals and things that thing are not carrying COVID-19. So not that they can't, because COVID-19, as is coronavirus, other coronaviruses have been carried by animals. In fact, that was one of the things that people thought might have started all this over in China, was that there's an armadillo anteater cross-like animal over there that they know that coronavirus lives in, and it's a protected species there, but people still kill them when they're not supposed to, and they use the meat as something that they like to eat. It's like a delicacy, and then people could get it from that. Well, we don't know for sure that that's how it started, but I can tell you that there's no cases that have been shown at all to be carried by insects or any other animals or anything like that. So if you're not over there eating the meat from that particular animal, you're probably not going to contract it. But we'll wait and see. I think the jury's still out on that a little bit, but I can tell you that right now I feel very confident in saying that you're not going to get it from an insect or a pet or anything like that.
That's great. All right, thanks. We're here with Dr. Randy Turner from the Well Integrative Medicine in Fairmont, giving us some tips, some awesome information around COVID-19. Come back for part 2. We're going to talk about how our body treats a virus like COVID-19, and what are things we can do. We're not helpless here. What are things we can do in our daily life to help protect us from the virus? So come back with us. Dr. Turner, again, thanks for sticking around, and thanks for on this first part.
Yep.